Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, and I see Gloria's come in. Hi, Gloria. Who else is here? Marty, are you there?
Hello,
Hi,
glad to be here.
glad to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Let's see, Karen. Got Karen. I got two Karen signed up. Karen Kalwa. Welcome. And see, Victoria, are you there?
Hi there.
Oh, there you are. Hi, Karen.
I forgot to unmute.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm just checking, make sure I can hear everybody. So when you have questions and comments that I can hear you and you can hear me. So I think I've heard Victoria. I don't think I heard from you. Can you hear me? If you can just.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. All right. So I think I've heard from everyone, and we usually take the first 4 to 5 minutes of class to give a chance for everybody to get here from other classes and get their technology working. And I think we are there at this point. Let's see. Yes. All right. So I got a couple of housekeeping things to take care of here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and move your pictures over here to my other monitor so I can see all of you over here. So when I'm looking over here, I'm looking at your pictures. So I'm not looking out the window, even though it is a beautiful day here in North Carolina today.
Oh, boy.
All right. And I'm going to go ahead. Actually, I'm going to leave everyone unmuted for now. But if we start to pick up background noise, which usually happens, I will mute everyone. So before you ask your question or make a comment, just be sure to check and see if you are muted. And if you are, go ahead and unmute yourself and just ask your question. You don't need to raise your hand or anything, just unmute and ask away. I've also pulled a copy of the chat down. So in case you are having trouble with your microphone or you need to reach us via the chat, that is now open. And Phil from our Get Set Up TA group is here monitoring the chat and helping me with the class. So one of us will respond to anything you put into the chat. But if your mic is working, please just go ahead and ask your questions out loud. That way the other learners can hear the question and I'll hear it and respond on a timely basis as well. All right, so I think that has us set up and ready to go. So let's get started. This is OneDrive Basics. I do want to thank you to the class. Thanks for joining. My name is Wade Yarbrough, and I'll be the guide for the class today. Very briefly about me, I'm from a small town in West Tennessee called Mason, Tennessee, a town of about 500 people just outside of Memphis, Tennessee. I have a degree in psychology and have taught psychology early in my career and late in my career. During most of my career, I was designing, installing, and training users how to use hospital information systems. So I've done a lot of adult training. But what I love about teaching with Get Set Up now is that I'm teaching people that are in the class because you want to be in the class, as opposed to being in the class because your employer told you that you had to come to the class. And it makes a world of difference. And that's what we try to do at Get Set Up, is to create an environment where you can come and learn classes that you're interested in, interact with other people in the same class that are also interested in that topic, as of course interacting with the guide as well. So we try to make it a very comfortable, interactive environment. The session is being recorded today, and you can request a copy of that recording by sending an email to help@getsetup.io. Be sure to include the class name and the date you attended. I'm going to put that in the chat as well. So if you don't have that email already in your email contacts, go ahead and copy that down. After the class, when we're doing the closing, I'll mention some other ways you might want to use that email address. It's a very handy one to have. We are live streaming the class today, and I do want to welcome anyone that's joining us via live stream. Thanks for joining us as well, and hope you enjoy the class. But I do want to make sure that everyone knows that the best way to get that full Get Set Up experience where you can interact with each other and ask questions of the guide is to go to our website and register for the class. And finally, Get Set Up is not paid to promote any of the products and vendors that we train on. We are purely trainers. So let's talk a little bit about the agenda for today. By the end of the class, hope you'll understand what cloud drives are and how they work. We're going to start at a very high level, generic level, and then we're going to get more concrete as the class moves along. You'll know multiple ways to access OneDrive, understand how to add files to your OneDrive and take files out of your OneDrive, and how to manage and share your files with other people. So let's start talking about cloud storage in general, then we'll talk about OneDrive as an example of cloud storage a little bit later. But cloud storage, if we all remember back to prior to when there was cloud storage, we were working on our PCs. And if I created a document here on my desktop, it would save it on my desktop device. And if I needed to share that with someone else, I would put it on way back when, a floppy drive, if people remember floppy drives. Later, now maybe a USB drive, and hand it to them. But everything was connected to this physical device. What the cloud has done is it allows us to now, instead of storing our documents on the physical device, we can put them in the cloud. That opens up a lot of opportunities that we're going to talk about in just a minute. Of course, the cloud is not really a cloud. Cloud is a generic term to refer to a data center that you access via the internet. And it may look like this. It is owned by whoever the cloud storage vendor that you subscribe to, wherever their site is. In fact, most of them have multiple sites that are linked together. But that's where your data is stored. And there are 4 major cloud storage vendors in North America. Dropbox was one of the first to get into this area. So you may be familiar with Dropbox and have used Dropbox in the past. And they're kind of a pure data storage vendor. That's really all they do. Once the major software vendors realized how important cloud storage was, they all have adapted a cloud storage product as well. Apple has iCloud, Google has Google Drive, and Microsoft has OneDrive. So all 4 of these do the same thing. They do it slightly differently, but it's the same general concept. They're taking files off of your device and storing them in the cloud instead. I'm going through this background material fairly quickly, but please don't hesitate to stop me if you have a question or if you need me to go over something again. Let's talk about the benefits of cloud storage. Why is it so important? Why is everybody doing it now? One big reason is it saves space on your device. So if I'm here on my laptop and my laptop drive is getting full, by using cloud storage, I can move those files off of my laptop, put them in the cloud, freeing up space on my device. Probably even more important for a phone where you have more limited space. The next big advantage, you can share and collaborate on documents with other people. So I can create a document here on my laptop, put it in the cloud, and by virtue of the fact that it's in the cloud, I could give you access to it sitting here on your computer. You can come to the cloud and work on that same document with me, or you could take a copy of it and save it, and then you've got your own copy that you can work on independent of my copy. And finally, you can access your data from just about anywhere, which that's probably the most important benefit for most people. So if I create a document here on my laptop, but I'm storing it in the cloud, later on, if I'm on my desktop, I can get to it. I can get to it from my phone. If I'm at a hotel and I need to access that information and I don't have my laptop with me, I can go down to the lobby, get on one of their PCs, public PCs, log into the internet, and get to my files from that hotel lobby. Lots of benefits of being able to get to your information. I'll show you how we do all of this. But questions about what it is, not how we do it, but what those benefits are? Yeah, go ahead, Mary.
What about the security as far as if you're a, let's say like I work for a nonprofit, and we're setting up stuff, how do you make sure of the security and then the extra backup? I remember after 9/11, they lost so many files for the banks and things. And so how do they have belt and suspenders for that?
Yeah, and a lot of that is that heavy lifting is done by those vendors. So people like Microsoft and Apple and Google are large companies, so they've got all the security built into their data centers in terms of protecting the information. They're backing that information up, so if something happens to one of their data centers, it's backed up in another data center. Nothing is 100% safe out there on the internet, but given the size of these companies, I think most people think that it is reasonably safe. It's acceptably safe. I mean, if you have it on your device in your house, it's still not 100% safe. I mean, your PC could crash, someone could hack into your router and get to your PC. So I personally think it's safer there than it is on my physical device. I store everything in the cloud.
Thank you.
And we'll talk about backing up in just a minute and as well. Good question, though. Okay. All right, I'm going to keep going because we're going to get more specific about all these points. And I think even if it's a little hazy right now, hopefully it'll be very concrete by the end of the class. But there's two terms we do need to talk about. They're confusing and they get people in trouble sometimes. One is backing up. And this is one you should be familiar with. We've been doing this since we've had computers, even back when I had floppy disks. I would take the floppy disk and back up my C drive so that if my hard drive crashed, I had a backup of it. So a backup in that context is a point in time copy. So you're making a copy of your file, putting it somewhere safe. Maybe now it would be on CDs or on an external drive, but you're putting it somewhere else. You don't touch those files once you make your backup unless you need to restore them. Your hard drive crashes, something happens, I go to my backup and I restore what got damaged on my main computer. Syncing is similar, but it has some critical differences as well. Basically, what happens when you're syncing files through the cloud, anytime you add, change, or delete anything from that synced cloud file, it affects everybody. So let me kind of explain that with an example. So let's say I sit here on my laptop and I create a document and I save it in the cloud where it is being synced. The good part of that is as soon as I create it, I can share it with other people and they can access it. I can go over to my phone and access that file I just created because it's in the cloud. But when it's syncing, if I create it on my laptop and then I go access it on my phone and make a change, it's changing it in the cloud, which means next time I look at it from my laptop, I'm seeing the changed version, which is the way I'd want that to work. Where people get in trouble sometimes is they're on their laptop and they see that they're running out of space. So they say, I'm going to delete that file because I want to free up space on my laptop and it's in the cloud anyway. If you delete it from your laptop, you delete it from the cloud, it's gone from everybody everywhere. There is, the way to conceptualize this is there's one copy here. Everyone's using that one copy. If anybody deletes that one copy, it's gone for everybody. Questions about that? That is really important. So, and kind of getting to, yeah, go ahead, Mary. I was going to.
Okay, you say that you store everything in the cloud, but then you say that if you edit or delete a file, you're actually working on it in the cloud, it's not in your computer that you're working with it. You've downloaded it, you're working with it, and then you delete it, it's deleted in the cloud. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, the way to think about it, this isn't 100% technically correct, but it's the right way to think about it, and we'll explain this a little bit more as we go, is that, there is one copy and it lives up here. So anything anybody does or anything you do from any of your devices, you're doing it to that one copy. So again, where people get in trouble is deleting. So if anybody deletes anything, deletes that one copy, it's gone for everybody. That's the way to think about it. And yes, I think Jocelyn had
So if you have a highly critical file, it's best to put that on an external drive to protect it from being deleted on the cloud.
Yeah, and I was just going to talk about that. Good segue for
Okay.
me. Because so this is syncing. What we're talking about right here is syncing. Now, if you want to be doubly safe, what you can do is you can also back it up. And you could back it up to CDs or to a hard drive, an external hard drive. There are also cloud services that back it up to the cloud. Carbonite is one of the best known ones. So if I wanted to make a backup of all my files, I could do that. And now it's over here safe. So if I happen to delete it from the cloud accidentally, I've still got my backup over here on Carbonite. So you can back up and sync at the same time, just not the one service is not doing both. You would have a syncing service and a backup service.
Thank you.
You know, now in some ways, and this is where it gets more confusing, because since I'm working on this data that's in the cloud, if my laptop crashes or gets lost or something, I haven't lost anything because at least I haven't lost anything from the cloud because it's still in the cloud. The fact that I've lost my laptop doesn't affect the cloud. So that gives you some security versus having everything on your laptop. But it's not a true backup. But you can do a true backup. And some people do. Some people have Carbonite over here running a backup once a day, and then they're syncing with OneDrive. And OneDrive is just syncing. It does not provide backup. You
So
would need to get another service.
when we create a new document and haven't it automatically uploaded to OneDrive? Oh, okay.
Yep. And I'll show you that. I think so. Like I said, I think as we go in and demo some of this, it's going to make a little more sense than it does just conceptually. But hopefully you kind of got the big picture. Let's drill down and see if I can make it a little more real for you. But yes, that is exactly correct. I'm sitting on this device, I create it. And if I'm using OneDrive, when I save it, when I create it, it's creating it here. It's the way to think about it, not here. So let's go talk a little bit more about OneDrive, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes. So we've been talking generically about cloud storage. OneDrive is a cloud syncing service available to anyone with a Microsoft account. So it is a Microsoft product. It is built into Windows 10. So it's basically built into everything Microsoft does. Microsoft Office programs like Excel, Word, PowerPoint, Outlook, OneNote automatically can save files to OneDrive. It doesn't force you to use OneDrive, and I'll show you how that works as well. But the capability to work with OneDrive is built in. But you can also store non-Microsoft files in OneDrive. And if you use Dropbox, that's how Dropbox works exclusively. But I could take a PDF that I've downloaded from the internet, store it in OneDrive. It doesn't have to come from these documents. Anything I can put on my computer, I can put in OneDrive. And I'll use this analogy a lot today, but the one way to think about OneDrive is just like a thumb drive, a USB drive. It's just another place I'm putting things. This one just happens to be in the cloud instead of a piece of hardware that I'm attaching to my computer.
Is that where you would have to download a file in order to get it into OneDrive? If you were working in, say, in Gmail
yes. And let's demo some of this, because I think this will crystallize a lot, showing you than talking conceptually. So let's talk about ways to access OneDrive and use it. And the most common way that you access OneDrive is using, if you're on Windows, File Explorer. If you're on a Mac, using Mac Finder. So I'm going to open Windows Explorer. I am on a Windows device. And way back when, if you open Windows Explorer, all you would see is your PC and the hard drive on your PC. And if you had a USB drive connected to it, you would see the USB drive. I've got one of those plugged into mine. And you're probably all familiar with moving things around. So if I wanted to take something I've downloaded and put it on my thumb drive, I would just take this file, drag it over here to my thumb drive, drop it. And there's one already there. So I already copied that one before, but that's I'll replace the one in the destination. And so now that file is over here. Caring for Caregivers is now on my thumb drive. Similarly, I can take it off my thumb drive, put it back somewhere on one of my folders, back in my download folders. And so it copies it off the thumb drive, puts it back up here in my downloads folder. So hopefully everybody's familiar with doing that, moving things around.
No, I'm not.
Now, OneDrive is no different the way it works. So let's say I've downloaded something from the internet and it's sitting here. I downloaded this pancake recipe, but I want to put it into OneDrive. Here's OneDrive up here. This is my download file that I'm looking at. So if I want to take this and put it into my OneDrive, I'm just going to drag it over here and drop it into the OneDrive class folder. It's now gone from my downloads folder. It's in my, I'm going to sort this. It's here in my OneDrive pancake recipe. Is that making sense so far? And this is why I say using OneDrive in many ways is no different than using your C drive or a USB drive or a flash drive. It's just this one happens to be in the cloud versus physically plugged into the back of my computer. Questions?
You're going to show us how to set up those files, those folders?
It works no different than it does anywhere else. If I want to add a folder here, I can just come here and right click and add a folder. Just like I would, but it works no different than it does if I'm adding a folder down here on my C drive. If I want to add a folder down here, I would do it the same way. Go to new folder. If I'm up here in OneDrive, I can do one, just right click, new folder. So, so there's the new folder right there under the Get Set Up OneDrive class. So I can take something out of this one and drag it down into that one.
And how do you name it?
You can right click and rename.
Oh, got it.
All right. So that's how you can work with files using File Explorer. We're going to come back to File Explorer numerous times because that's probably how you use it the most often. Let's talk about another way.
The file that we download, it's not in the OneDrive. We have to move it to the OneDrive.
Yes. So when you download something, well, there's in some cases you can download something directly to OneDrive. Most things, when it downloads, it automatically puts it in your download folder. So you would have to take it out of there and move it.
But if we create a new document, we don't have to move it to OneDrive. It automatically saves in OneDrive.
That's where we're going next. Good segue. So let me close this down and I'm going to open Microsoft Word. And I'm going to create a document, blank document. 421. So I just put some stuff in here. And so like I always would, so I'm just creating a Word document and I want to save it. So I'm going to come up here to File and I can do a Save As like I would always do. So this is where I was saying that it doesn't force me to use OneDrive. If I want to save this on my PC, I can still save it on my PC and put it down in my PC, or I can put it in OneDrive. It lets me pick wherever I want to put it. In fact, if I select this PC, it opens File Explorer, and we're back where we were. I'm in File Explorer. And I can say where I want to put this. And so if I want to put this up here in my Get Set Up OneDrive class, I just select where I want it to go. I'm going to give it a, I'm going to say that call this class 421. Now, if I come back, there's that file, class 421. So I saved it in OneDrive from Microsoft Word. Now I can add another line to it. And one thing I can do from all of the Microsoft products is if I'm using OneDrive, I can do what's called autosave. In fact, it defaults to autosave, which means I can just put things into my document and then I can X out of it without hitting save because it automatically is saving it. If I come open this document, it's got that third line that I put in there. So you don't have to save. It will automatically save to OneDrive. If you have it anywhere else other than OneDrive, then you've got to come up here and hit the save button. Questions about accessing through Word or any other Microsoft Office tool?
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
When you're saving automatically to OneDrive, is that set up in the application or is that set up in OneDrive to make it save automatically?
That is at the application level.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Having OneDrive enables Word to do that, but how that works is controlled by the application. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Uh-huh. I'm just going to close this down for now, close both of these down for now. So that's using it from Excel, Word, PowerPoint, any of the Microsoft Office, we used to call it, products. Now, one thing I talked about is if I was at a hotel and I needed to get to my information and I didn't have my laptop with me, that I could get to it from there as well. So let's assume I'm at that hotel and I'm down there at a computer in the lobby, and I would just open a new tab and I would type in OneDrive live.com. I've already done it from here, so I don't have to type the whole thing, but OneDriveLive.com and hit enter. Now, one difference is going to be I'm already logged in to Microsoft on this computer, so it takes me straight to my OneDrive. If I was at that hotel, it would pop up username and password. I'd have to enter my Microsoft username and my Microsoft password, and then it would open OneDrive on just in a web browser, any browser, Chrome, Edge, Firefox, any Safari, whatever browser you want to use. And now I'm looking at the same files. Let me bring File Explorer back up again. It's the same set of folders, Archive, BCC, CFCC. So I'm looking at the same OneDrive. I'm just looking at it through a browser. I can come down here to this, the class. There's that file that we just created earlier today. So, showing that it is syncing. I'm looking at the latest version of the cloud. We're all looking at the cloud. So any way I'm getting to it, I'm looking at the same thing. Let's say, for argument's sake, that computer that I'm using at the hotel is a Mac and it doesn't have Windows installed on it. Doesn't matter. I can still get to this document. I can click here beside it. I can come up here and say, open it with Word Online, which is a browser-based version of Microsoft Word. So I can get to my information, again, from a Mac that doesn't have Microsoft on here. I can add a fourth line from the browser. No save. And So I can X out of that when I'm done. It's now updated this information in here. I'll give you another example of how this comes in really handy that I have done. Last semester I taught a class at community college, and used to be when I was teaching the classes, I would put my slides on a thumb drive and I would carry it around with me. And when I got to the classroom, I'd put my thumb drive in to get to my files. Now what I could do, let me come back out to, in fact, here's BCC. This is where I taught, Brunswick Community College, fall of 2020. There's all my lecture slides. So I would go to the classroom, go to the computer, open a browser, type in onedrive.live.com, go here to my lecture slides, click and open my lecture slides. They would open here. I could present my lecture, never have to carry anything around with me. I could show my PowerPoint slides right from that computer in the classroom. If I found a typo, I could fix it. It would fix it in the cloud. When I got back home, it's already been fixed because we're all using the same file in the cloud. Is that making sense? Questions?
I didn't think I should take a PowerPoint class, but now I think I should.
A couple other things to show you is that let's change the scenario a little bit. I'm over at a friend's house and I was telling him about that lecture. He also teaches psychology and he wanted to see my PowerPoint slides. So I showed it to him and he said, "Oh, that's great. Can I get a copy of those slides?" And I could just click here and it would download a copy of what's in my cloud to his PC. And he might say, "Yeah, I've got a great file that you may want to use as well." And I could click upload and it would open File Explorer on his PC. And I could grab that document and load it into my cloud from his PC. And now I've got a copy of his file loaded into my presentations folder. So again, gives you lots of ways to get to your information, add to your information, modify your information from any device that has a browser that you can get to. Questions? I forgot to do one thing before we started class. Give me just 1 second here. So the next thing I wanted to show you is that I can get to it from my phone as well. So I just brought up an image of my iPhone. It is an iPhone. It's not a Microsoft phone. But if I want to get to my OneDrive from my phone, I can come over here to OneDrive. You have to download the OneDrive app from the App Store, put it on your phone. I can click here. There's those same folders that we've been looking at all along. You come down here to get set up OneDrive class. Here's that file we've been working on, the class for 421. I can open that. And there's that fourth line that I added from the browser when I was at the hotel. It's now on the version that I'm looking at on my phone. I can add a fifth line from my phone. Just kind of showing you how you can get to all of this from pretty much anywhere, any device that you've got that you can either put an app on or that has a browser or that you can install Microsoft 365 on.
Hey, Wade,
Uh-huh.
what is the camera icon on the phone at the bottom for?
You can have it automatically store your pictures in OneDrive. So if you set this up, it'll automatically Every time you take a picture, it'll put a copy of it over in your pictures folder in OneDrive.
Boy, that's handy.
Yeah, that's a nice way to do that. Yeah, I'm not using that because I have a iPhone, so I put my mine are stored to iCloud Photos that I can get to from my Windows computer, but that's a different class. But that's this is Apple's version of OneDrive, iCloud Drive, and iCloud Photos. But again, different class, a different day. Okay. All right, let's keep going here. I'm gonna make my screen bigger so we can see. And let's go back to my notes here. So that's the OneDrive app. So that's the 4 ways you can get to it. Now, we talked about one of the other big advantages is sharing, the fact that you can share files with other people. And let me show you how that works. And so I'm going to come back and to File Explorer. And here's our class file we've been playing with. We'll keep playing with this one. So I'm going to right click on it and click Share. And first I can determine what do I want whoever I'm sharing it with to be able to do with this file. Do I want to allow them to edit it? And so if you allow them to edit, then they would have access to my cloud file. They could add, subtract, delete from that file. So we would be co-working on it. Collaboration's the term. Or I can say, I'll send you a view-only copy, and then you can save it. And now you've got your own copy of that file. You can edit your copy, but I don't want you messing with my copy. So here, I'm just giving them access to make a copy, basically. Here, I'm letting them edit my copy. Okay. I can set an expiration date. So maybe we're going to work on this for a little while together, but after a week, I'm going to take it back, not let them work on it anymore. And if it's something really secure, you can set a password. So in order to get to my cloud file, they would have to have the link and the password. So I'll leave it like this. So I'm going to apply. And now you just have to put who you're going to share it with. And just put in the email address of the person. And so there, I'm going to share it with my wife. I could add more people. So if there's 2 or 3 people you want to share it with, you can do that. Type in a message. And hit send. It'll send them an email with a link to that file. Now they need to have a Microsoft account to get into that, but since it's sending them in this case, a Word document. Now you can also copy a link. That would be more as if you want to post it on Facebook. Maybe you belong to a Facebook group and you want to share this file with everybody in your Facebook group. And there's 25 people. So instead of having to list 25 email addresses here, I could copy the link, go to Facebook, post it to my group, and all 25 people would now have a copy that they could do whatever privilege I set. If I'm doing that, I'm probably going to make it view only. So I don't want 25 people monkeying with my file. Questions about sharing?
My stuff gets sent to OneCloud, and sometimes when I'm trying to share, I'll say just view only, and I get emails back from several people saying I don't have the link or I have to do something else, and so I'll go back and I'll send it again and put on their edit, or I'll have it on edit that they could do it, and then I have to come back and do view only. I don't understand why sometimes it works for most people but not for others.
Yeah, I don't either.
No. Okay.
I haven't encountered that, but to be honest, I haven't done a lot of sharing of files. So okay. You probably have to go to Microsoft on that one and give them some specific examples, and they could probably figure it out. Because it shouldn't be a problem. Now, sometimes people, if you give them just view only, they think there's a problem because they can't edit it. But they should be able to open it and see it. They just couldn't edit it. I'm gonna go ahead and send that one. Just go ahead and send it. All right, so that's sharing. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, I'm trying to keep an eye on the time. I think we're doing okay here. One thing that OneDrive does better than Apple or Google or any of the others that I've worked with is controlling what's on your device and basically allowing you to free up space on your computer. And let me bring the browser back up and show you what that means. So if you look here at this underneath this status, you'll see different icons. You also see this icon, which means this has been shared. So that's what this little icon means. But there's 3 different icons you might see, as well as this one, which means it's in the process of syncing right now, is what that means. If it has cloud, that means it's stored only on the cloud. It is always stored on the cloud, but you can have a copy on your computer as well. I'm going to just go to another folder and come back here and make this refresh. Okay, it's still syncing. All right. So there's a couple of things you might want to do here. Let me give you one example. So here's a PowerPoint presentation. It is only in the cloud. So let's say I'm going to the Senior Center and I'm going to do a presentation and show these slides. But when I get there, I find out that their router's down and they can't get to the internet, which means I can't show my slides because it's only in the cloud, which means I can only get to this file through the Wi-Fi, through a web connection. So what I would do before I left, being somewhat suspicious and cautious, I'm going to right click on this file and say, always keep it on this device. What it's going to do is download a copy to this device. It now becomes a green check mark, which means I've got a copy on my device. I still always have the one in the cloud and they're still syncing, but I can now take this, and if there's no internet connection at the Senior Center, no problem. I can show it from my laptop. I can even edit it from my laptop. If I do edit it, as soon as I get back in range of Wi-Fi, it's going to automatically connect, sync. It'll take any changes I've made, sync it back to the cloud, and I'm back in sync. So the syncing doesn't change whether or not you've got a copy on your computer or not, but sometimes it's handy to have it. You know, if you're running out of space on your laptop, you're going to want to have everything stored in the cloud and freeing up space, because this is, you know, PowerPoint presentations are big files typically. So what I could do as soon as I get back home, I could come back to this file, right click again and say, free that space back up. It's going to put it back in the cloud only. It's erased it from my C drive, except for this, which is a shortcut. This is a shortcut pointing to the cloud in the file. So I'll always see it here, but there's nothing on my computer but a link, a shortcut basically to that file in the cloud. Questions about that? And I can do this at the file level. I could do it at the folder level. So I could come over here to the folder level, do exactly the same thing, say free up space, which would take every file in that folder and move it up to the cloud. Or I could say, keep it on this device. It would download every file, a copy of every file to my device that is still linked and syncing with the cloud.
So that would be one of those times you wouldn't want to use delete. You would.
Yep, that never changes. So whether it's a cloud or a checkbox, if I delete it, I've deleted it. In fact, let me delete something here just to kind of show you what, one other thing that I think OneDrive does a good job of. It warns you. So if I'm going to hit delete on my keyboard, and it says deleting an online only permanently removes it from your PC without sending it to the recycling bin. Pretty much if I say yes, it's gonzo. And same, we're going to actually give me another one. Deleted files are removed from everywhere. So it's telling me, you know, I'm not taking it just from my laptop. I'm deleting it out of the cloud, which means it's gone from everywhere. And I say, okay, I've got it. Go ahead and do that. Now, if it's been downloaded and I delete it from here, it will put this downloaded copy in my my trash bin on my laptop, which means it's going to sit there and I could recover it. So that's, I guess, one of the advantages of having it on your PC. When you delete it, it keeps a copy in your recycle bin. Is one of the other differences. Questions? And I think that is the last thing I was going to talk about. This is just showing you those icons. Now, let me just open it up for any questions that you may have. Anything I covered too quickly or anything I didn't cover that you have questions about?
Will these little things be on the class notes that we get tomorrow, or should we ask for the copy of the video?
We don't give out the slide presentation.
Okay, got it.
If you get the recording, you can watch the recording again and see all the slides again. But you know, that's considered intellectual property, so Get Set Up doesn't send those out.
All right, got it.
There will be some links to some related sites that tell you a lot of the same information, but it just won't be these PowerPoint slides.
Okay.
Other questions? Okay. All right. If there's no questions, we can go ahead and move to the closing. And so this ends the PowerPoint, or the PowerPoint. This ends the OneDrive class. And I do thank you for attending. Hope you learned some things about it. It's a tough topic. A lot of people take the class more than once, and you're certainly welcome to take the class again. The class is never the same twice because there's different questions asked. So if you're still a little hazy about it. And there's a related class that we just put out. This is a brand new class called Understanding the Cloud, which is really designed to be a precursor to this class, where we talk about it more generically and kind of compare OneDrive to Apple iCloud to Google Drive, how those work. So some of the information. So if you're a little hazy about the cloud, this is another good class to take as well. And then Organizing with OneNote is another Microsoft product that uses everything in OneNote is saved in OneDrive, but OneNote is a great note-taking tool. So if you're not familiar with OneNote, that's another great class to take. Now, if you're comfortable with social media, we would hope you will share your experiences you're having with this and other classes on social media. And if you want to share your experience, but you don't do social media, you can send an email to Liz at Get Set Up, that's Liz, and she'll post it to our social media so that you can get your information out there. And a couple other classes I'm going to be teaching is all about privacy on Facebook, if you're a Facebook person, and Introduction to Smart Homes, if you want to automate your home. I'm going to go to the closing slides. So after class, I've mentioned this a little bit already, there will be an email coming out, and that email will have 4 or 5 sections to it. One section is class notes, and there will be some notes, and there'll also be links to some other websites that will deal with cloud storage in general, as well as OneDrive specifically, also about how to license it if you don't have a Microsoft account yet. So there's some information about that. There'll be a way to share this class with other people. So if you know someone you think would enjoy taking the class, you can do that by either posting a link on Facebook, or you can send a link via email. If you're more comfortable with email, you can email that to one or multiple people. There'll be links to 3 other Get Set Up classes. If you want to take any of those classes, all you have to do is click that link. It takes you right to the registration page. It saves you a lot of time for those classes. Oh, And in the class notes, there will usually be links to related classes as well. So you can click a link in the email class notes section or in this section for other classes. There's a give feedback link that opens the feedback form. 2 questions. How do you rate the class itself? 1 to 5 stars. How do you rate the guide? 1 to 5 stars. Just click on the number of stars you want to give. There's a place to put comments, and we certainly hope you'll give us some comments explaining why you gave that rating, but it's not required, but greatly appreciated. Hit done. It takes 2 minutes to do the feedback. We hope you're enjoying the Get Set Up experience and the Get Set Up community. And if you are, there's some ways you can get more actively involved. We're starting to set up interest groups for some of the technical areas. And so we don't have an interest group around using OneDrive. So if you'd like to be part of an interest group to get together and talk about it, how it works, exchange problems and ideas, just let us know. help@getsetup.io. If you would like to host that group, it'd be even better. Let us know. If there's a new class you'd like to see us offer, send us an email. If you work with some other organizations that you think would be good partners for Get Set Up to work with, just send us that contact information and we'll contact them. And of course, if you want a copy of the recording, and this is a class that a lot of people do get a copy of the recording and look at it again, you'll probably pick up things the second time through you missed the first time, as well as taking the class again. If you don't get the email, same email here, send an email to help@getsetup.io saying I never got the email for the OneDrive class. They'll get in touch with you and help figure out what happened. So this email is really for any questions, problems, issues, recommendations that you have for Get Set Up. Just one email. The people that manage this email will route it to the right person. So you don't have to worry about who do I send this to. One place to send it, help@getsetup.io. The last link in that email is View Schedule. If you click that, that will take you to our website where you can book another class. We're constantly refining and improving our website. A couple of things I want to point out in case you haven't found them. There is a link right in the center of the screen now, which will take you to your schedule. So if you click that, it will take you to My Schedule, where you'll see the classes that you're signed up for. When you're ready to take that class, you can just click Launch, and it will launch you straight into the class. You don't have to keep the emails to launch into the classes. If you need to cancel the class, you can cancel it from here as well. You can still browse by schedule like you've always been able to do. Just pick the day and scroll through the classes on that day. You can also still search for classes by categories. So if you want to look, you're looking for health and wellness classes, you can click there and it'll filter by health and wellness. We're also starting to set up series. We're getting so many classes. We got over 350 classes now. So series are where we try to help curate the classes. In fact, there's one about the cloud where we have the class you just took, Dropbox Cloud Storage. This is that Understanding the Cloud class I mentioned, which is kind of the first class people take typically. Google Drive, Apple iCloud Basics. So all the classes related to cloud storage are in that series. So the series are meant to help you find related classes, I guess is the best way to say it. If there's a specific class you're looking for, the best way to find it is still just to come up here and search by keyword. So if you were looking for iCloud, if you're an Apple person, you can type iCloud and there's Apple iCloud Basics. And so you can get to it that way as well. You book a class like you always have. One thing I'll show you that has just changed this week is that when you book a class, you can add it to your calendar as you've always been able to do, but you can invite a friend from here at this point. So if there's somebody you know that you want to, you think would like to take this class and you want them to take the same class you're taking, so you can maybe talk about it after class, you can just click and invite a friend and you can type in their email right here. Click here to send the email link and they'll get a link to the same class you're taking. and can sign up for that class very easily. The last thing is something that a lot of people have been asking for a long time that we just added as well. So if there's a guide or several guides that you like their classes and you want to follow, you can now just put their name in the search and hit enter, and it will take you to all the classes that they're teaching. And hello, that didn't work correctly. Let me go back out of the.
Looks like you're teaching a lot of classes, Wade.
Well, yes, but those aren't all mine. Let me, for some reason, it is not working correctly. That's what's with technology. It never works when you're trying to do it live. So there seems to be a problem with that. It should show all the classes. Let me just try somebody else for fun. Yep. So I'm going to let them know there is a bug on this page now, but it should just show you all the classes that Kevin teaches. If you put Kevin's name up there, and then you can book any of his classes right from there. It keeps showing me this series. Oh, maybe I should click to all classes. That probably is going to fix it, even though I don't think that should work that way. Bingo. I was filtering for series, so it was only showing me series. I refiltered for all classes. And then now these are the classes that I'm teaching that you can book. And so you can scroll through and book any class right from there. So if you want to take that smart homes class, you can book it from here. Any questions about our new website?
It's great. I like it.
Okay, thanks. We're continuing to try to make it a better experience for you. And again, if you have recommendations and ideas, you can put that in the help it get set up as well. Last thing I did mention at the top of the class, that the class was being live streamed. That's what TV is. If you click on TV, you actually can drop into a class and see a class that's live. So it's like watching it on TV. The guide can't see you and you can't talk to the guide, but you can watch the class from here. It's a good way to preview a class maybe you think you want to take that before you sign up for it, or you may just have some time and you want to just see what's on TV. So that's what the TV link is down here. And I've got the sound turned off. You could turn the sound on. Okay, so we are at the end of the hour. Was there a question? All right, so we're at the end of the hour. So I do want to thank you all for attending. I hope you enjoyed the class, and certainly hope I see you in another one of my classes soon. Thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Is BCC Bethune-Cookman?
No, it's Brunswick Community College.
Oh, because we have a BCC Bethune-Cookman, and then CFCC is Central Florida Community College right around me.
A lot of the same initials. That's in North Carolina.
Okay, thanks so much. I'm already registered for this same thing next week.
Okay.
No, I'm using that, and I learned a lot today. Thank you.
Oh, great. A lot of people take it twice. It's a lot of content.